forget that it's hard mode. Don't forget those boomerangs no longer stun. And when we open it up, you're gonna have a very bad time. Little ominous words from our uncle. We start out with instant water shoes.
That's super interesting. It doesn't really help us out much in the early game. It may make routing once we get to the South Shore a little bit more interesting to say if we end up going up to the Zora area or not.
All right, so what is your favorite uncle item?
I'm always a big fan of bomb strats because if you practice bomb strats, you're great. But if you don't practice bomb strats, we can tell almost immediately.
And we just get a sword.
Boo.
That's no fun. I was hoping for Kane.
I
That should
mean,
be a quick sequence. And oh, look at that! Nice early bomb drops for both these runners. So we're gonna get to the back of Escape.
yeah, that does also mean that we're not going to have to farm up any more bombs. So they're going to be able to go through this as quickly as possible without having to spend time farming any other bombs. The nice thing is that does make for a very quick escape. We're going to be aiming for about that 6-minute mark before we finish completion of this entire section. We'll see how we do, though.
All right, so while we make our way through this the boring escape sequence, what are you hoping to see from this seed?
This is where we insert a picture of Mr. T and we zoom in very closely to the camera and go, pain. Because it's a Rocky reference, you see. Because what do we want to see? We want to see pain. And never mind. I'm old.
I was like, it's just about clicking with me, but I'm not really picking it up. But I missed it. I missed some old Mr. T in my time. Personally, I'm hoping to find something that adds progression inside Ganon's tower to finish out pendant dungeons, which is always one of those fun little scenarios that ends up through all dungeons. How about the boots locked in Ganon's tower in order to finish Desert Palace?
I mean, with all dungeons, it'll be super interesting to see what happens. I always do like to see how long people put off that Aga 1 tower climb. If we get that, if we end up needing to do Aga 1 in order to get our Dark World access, it's fine because we know we have to do it anyway. But a lot of runners, especially in all dungeons, will try to route Aga 1 immediately after Aga 2 so they can, have a full health refill right before doing Ganon as well. But I don't know if that's going to be possible this time.
Well, it just depends on where the items shake out as we make our way. There isn't much for us here in the bottom of Escape, aside from that sword we started out with. And chat coming in with, again, Tower Big Key on the torch, the boots on pedestal with the book in GT, and the mirror in desert. You, sir, are evil.
Well, you can always count on chat to be evil. They come up with the worst scenarios, which is why I don't do Plandos anymore.
Yeah, that could be entertaining. So you see the Ninja Turtle sprite for Dustin on the right, and I'm not sure which one that is on the left for WeightyWords. Maybe you can educate me.
I have no idea for that either. I do know that we have very talented sprite artists and animators in the community, and we have somewhere to the tune of almost 200 customized sprites available for you. If you go to the Link to the Past Randomizer website and you generate your own seed, hey, choose your own sprite. All the big shout outs and love out to our sprite dev community.
Absolutely, and I'm being told this is the vanilla Link, interestingly enough. This is one of the 50 or so that were added added or updated in version 30 alone. And more to come as more versions of the randomizer comes out. Making our way down through the sewers, make our way through the rope rooms, with one chest left to find in the sewers, and we have our bomb to get to the back of Escape.
Yeah, we kind of knew this was going to be a key. We hadn't seen the key, and this was the last place it absolutely could be. There are still a handful of things that we know we're going to have to find. Of course, dungeon items, so we can statistically eliminate as we're going through. I still don't think we've seen the map yet, so we might be skipping this last treasure chest in the escape sequence in the sanctuary itself.
We'll see how that goes out as both our runners make quick work of the true final boss of this dungeon, the key rat. Just some sticks, more sticks, and a piece of heart.
Yeah, WeightyWords double checking his menu there. We have not yet found the map, so we know the last treasure chest in the sanctuary is considered part of the escape sequence. We haven't found the map. He can save, a 0.5 seconds or so not checking this particular treasure chest, and don't think Weighty is going to do it. We'll see if Dustsen also remembers there.
Interesting, though. I think you lose that by doing the inventory check. So it's just kind of a net of 0. And we are out into the world, and where is WeightyWords heading first? Most likely over to the Lost Woods. We'll see if they decide to route in Lumberjack. It's a little bit more of a desirable look, as you will definitely have to do AGA 1, and it's easier to know that I won't be wasting a lot of time checking out Lumberjack.
Yeah, it does look like Weighty's doing that. There's our map check. 6-4 and another crystal look like down in desert. So all crystals in the light world and bombs from our tree pull. That's a nice thing to see.
Yep, and that was just number 3 on desert. All right, head on into Lumberjack. What are they holding on to today underneath the tree? Piece of heart.
Vanilla. Ugh.
Vanilla items for Vanilla Link.
All right, so Weighty, you see Weighty killing a couple more enemies here. He was trying to set up that same level tree pull so he can get some more bombs so you don't have to buy them. You want as many bombs as you can, and there's a bee in a bottle.
And B-Torp makes his appearance and gets us that early sick kid check. Always feels good to find it on the way. Unfortunately, he didn't quite set up that tree pull correctly, as he was rewarded with 5 rupees. Or maybe he was checking the tier 2?
I think he was probably checking the other tier 2. 5 rupees is, that's not horrible. You still need money as you're going through here. Don't quite have enough. We'll get enough for the bottle vendor here, but not comfortable enough with money yet.
At least it will get us this early check out of the way.
Now, one thing I wanted to see is if that bee in a bottle was the good bee, because we can get the good bee, and there's another bee in a bottle,
and a moon pearl.
Aether medallion, and ice rod. What is this?
The values cannot be underestimated as, oh dear God.
Kakariko, more like Stackarico.
Those thieves, man. Those thieves are holding out on everything. They're raiding all those dungeons, taking everything, and wow. Not quite. We still need another globe or the hammer to give us Dark World access, but dear God, that is a lot of items right there. As I think we found our new true hype basement.
Yeah, that was the most hype I've ever seen. And we're not even all the way through Kakariko Village. This is the most hype CAC I've ever seen.
So, what I do like is if this opens up the world to our runners early, it definitely opens up the divergence. Which in Dustin's shoes, you either feel really good seeing all this early or really bad.
Well, if you're Dustsen, I think in this particular case, you want to see a high degree of divergence, because that opens up the ability. If you're going to get into a very linear seed and you're up against WeightyWords, and it's not an insult to Dustsen to say WeightyWords probably has better execution. if you have a linear seed, it will favor the execution-based runners. Dustsen wants to see a high degree of variance that allows him to make some gambles and possibly get ahead and win this seed.
All right, so after coming out of the hype basement, we're not finding a whole lot of else here through the rest of Kakariko. Sick Kid holding on to 20 bucks, and there's 300 in the back of the tavern. He's stealing from the till. Patrick Swayze will not be happy.
Yeah, we're starting to talk about what ends up happening next. People in chat are thinking maybe Spectacle Rock, Death Mountain. Probably not. It's in logic, and there's not a whole lot we can do right now. I think the better play is going to stay with the standard routing, hit the South Shore area. With those flippers, they can route in. We're getting close to having money for our Zora check anyway, so I might expect to see them make that play on that South route and up to Zora.
Absolutely. As the last two bottom of South Shore checks reveal a whole lot of nothing, WeightyWords decides to go back through Sanctuary. Where is he heading next?
Oh, this is Weighty. I bet you Weighty is setting up Houlihan. He's going to push this, and then he's going to bomb himself into the hole. This is the Houlihan setup that you have to do if you do have the flippers. So he's bombing himself over, and with this sequence, he's in Houlihan.
But this will definitely put him over the Zora money amount, and he probably feels that this is where the seed is pointing him with those early flippers.
Absolutely. It's a solid play from WeightyWords, knowing what he has to do to go ahead and do that. Dustsen is going to bank on, if he's doing the same route, he's going to bank on finding some money on the way. I think Weighty wanted to just ensure he'd be able to purchase his Zora gear right there. So Weighty more consistent there. Dustin has 100 rupees, so he's actually not going to have to worry about it.
No, he should be able to pick up a $5. Well, there's 20 right there, so he's more than set. So the Houlihan not paying off quite yet. However, if we don't find any money going forward for a while, that could help him with bribing that monkey. Forget Zora, Kiki the monkey is the true extortionist in Hyrule.
I mean, at least Zora, offers you a discount deal. Usually he's trying to scam you, but, just like any neighborhood bargain bin, sometimes you can find something decent.
And we'll finish off the mini Moldorms here, provided they decide to cooperate.
Mini Moldorms cooperate? What?
Alright, so we got 5 items in here. What do we have on to? Our third bottle, 10 Uncle Bombs, the Bloomerang, Hook Shot, and the Shovel.
Oh, the Shovel is so nice. So that's our fetch quest. I don't think we're going to turn that in immediately, but that Hook Shot, that is super, super beneficial. That does mean once we get up on Death Mountain, that's going to be our access to the east side of Death Mountain and its plethora of treasures in Paradox Cave.
I have a feeling that after these flipper checks, I would imagine both of our owners may look to sequence break Death Mountain just because of how many items are available to them. Unless, of course, we find the flute or the lamps like in Ice Rod Cave or in one of these flipper lock locations coming up.
Here's something interesting. Dustin is actually continuing on and doing the Ice Rod Cave check. Meanwhile, Weighty is going immediately to the flipper locations. Hobo, we got a peek at what was on the island, just a big 20.
And just paying off in 50 bucks for Dustin. So a little time lost, but we'll see if WeightyWords decides to head back there at some point.
Ooh. Mirror, that's going to be our access to Tower of Hera. It's not logical access, but I gotta think we've got to be getting close. Just with everything else that we're seeing, we got to be getting close to either a lamp or a flute, which will give us logical access to Death Mountain. It feels like it's close.
Well, there's just so many early items here. There's so much room for divergence once we find our Dark World access or our access onto the mountain. There's just so many checks available to the almost immediately in the Light World. We're 15 minutes in, we're not even thinking about a dungeon because just how much of the overworld has been opened up to us. as we find bombs and $5 in the Waterfall Fairy.
Yep, and as expected, Weighty is going to be cashing in on this Zora check. He has the money. Dustsen, I think, is going to be right behind him. And on the Zora ledge, we have big 10 arrows. Yay.
Keep those sticks in handy. But we're already at our maximum sticks. We can buy the upgrades, but they cost twice as much in hard mode, and there isn't as many of them available. As Dustsen swims by the cave where you can purchase those upgrades, as with version 30 they were removed from the item pool.
All right, and Zora gives us artisanal bombs. They explode just like regular bombs, but we have to call them artisanal so we feel a little bit better about spending 500 rupees on them.
Yeah, 500 rupees for 3 bombs. These better be just like pretty explosions, different colors, fireworks, something. And WeightyWords forgets that that boomerang doesn't work.
Yep, nothing stuns in hard mode. Well, the hookshot will stun once he pulls that. But Weighty is going to be turning in this fetch quest, trying to read the seed to see where exactly he's trying to go. He's trying to stay within logic, which is super nice. Just a big 20.
Checks the earth for $20. As Dustsen gets his unfortunate news of 3 bombs, just kind of says, okay.
Yeah. It was like, all right, I guess we'll do that. Weighty is going to be heading over to the Eastern Palace area to check what's in Shamalama Ding Dong's closet. As well as if he doesn't find anything, he may continue on to Eastern Palace. However, if we get our Dark World access or unlock some access, we're just like 1 item away from a lot of different access. I think if he finds it here, he's gonna nope out. If he doesn't, I can see him going and dipping a toe into Eastern.
All right, let's look and see what is hanging out in the closet today. We have a heart container, 10 arrows, and a wop bam lamb. I almost blew that. All right, let's go to the mountain.
Yep, we're going to Death Mountain. That is not only our logical access to go ahead and clear all of Death Mountain, that's our fire source in case we need it for Tower of Hera, which is also in logic. So, yeah, we got a lot of stuff, but right now it's kind of narrowing down to say, hey, there's one thing that you have to do. Go to the mountain.
There's just a lot of items that will open up to our runners now as Dustsen is deciding to diverge. It looks like he's heading toward Eastern Palace, banking on something hidden in there because he knows where the seed is pointing him. This is definitely the low percentage play, which could pay off in spades depending on what is in what is in the front side of Eastern Palace. We have access to everything except for the boss.
Absolutely, and it does, within that logic chain, it does have dark rooms, so it is possible anything locked behind those dark rooms, again, following the item chain, following the breadcrumbs, going to see where it's at. It is a low percent play compared to what Weighty is doing, but we know Dustsen kind of has to make that, and that is the weirdest tip I've ever been given as an Uber driver. Some drugs.
Hey, thanks, kid. You want some of this? Alright, WeightyWords making his way up to Spectre Rock as Dustsen makes his way through Eastern, didn't find anything in the first chest of note. Continuing on. Alright, WeightyWords diving in when we should be seeing our first hint tile momentarily, as well as whatever item is hidden in Spectre Rock Cave. So that's another $5 for Dustsen.
It's the first of 3 items, another $5 for WeightyWords, but we are going to get our wonderful first check here. And Weighty, what are you going to show us? Joke hint.
That's an interesting hint.
I believe that's quoting Willy Wonka. Candy is dandy, but liquor is quicker.
And there's another $5 up there. I believe those $5 will be replacing a lot of the heart containers and heart pieces that we would have found otherwise. And we have our pendants in Thieves Town, Turtle Rock, and Skull Woods.
That's super interesting. That's our logical access for any fire rod requirements for both Skullwoods and Thievestown, or Skullwoods and Turtle Rock. Now it's all dungeons, so we very well could wait to get our fire rods super, super late. That'll be interesting to see what ends up happening there.
Well, if we find the Bombos medallion, I do believe that gives us a chance to put the fire rod in GT.
Absolutely. Absolutely, it can be there. Some cash requires something.
A green pendant, so we know that we will not be talking to Saucer Hala anymore today.
Meanwhile, Dustsen is approaching the one... he already got the big key, so this is the one dark room locked treasure chest. If it's progress, this low percent play will be great for him. And it's just a compass. Ouch.
Time lost. As WeightyWords takes his coffee break inside the bottom of Tower of Hera. We'll find the big key hidden on the other end.
I've always said Randomizer is like a game of golf. It's not necessarily about making good plays, it's about avoiding the bad plays. Unfortunately, that turned out to be a bad play for Dustsen. Just a time loss there that he could have avoided. Nothing really going in Eastern. He is now following WeightyWords up the mountain.
It's time loss, but in Dustsen position, you cannot blame them for making this low percent play. This is a must-win for him to stay alive in this tournament, and in order to do that, you may have to take those chances that your opponent is not going to do. Most runners, seeing all the items they were handed, will probably head straight up the mountain, but the hammer could have been hiding in Eastern Palace. The bow could have been hiding in there. There could be nothing up here on the mountain except for like Dark World access, and the fire rod could be hiding in Eastern.
Yep, it's true. Meanwhile, Weighty is going up here. Looks like he tripped the switch in order to get some heart refills once he gets to the top here.
And then it's just giving a few of them there. As we get our second hint, a bottle requires a bomb. Well, we found that already.
Thanks, game. And there's the map. So we do know that our last item is going to be right there on Moldorm himself. Not a whole lot of weaponry, really. The Ice Rod doesn't do any damage. Bombs don't do any damage. We're stuck with Fighter Sword Moldorm, which is not a fun fight.
Well, it's the vanilla fight. I also wanted to comment on that interesting setup for that bomb jump there. Choosing to throw the bomb against the wall. I have not seen that one before. But one of the nice boosts of the fighter sword is that the poke does the same damage as the spin.
Oh, Moldorm tried his hardest to push WeightyWords off, but keeping the sword held out can kind of protect you from being pushed off the edge, and just a piece of heart. And we are 23 minutes and 11 seconds in when we get our first crystal and our first dungeon completion of the run.
Yep, the sword usage keeping you from falling off ledges starts here and comes up huge in Ocarina of Time when we get up to the ISGs. Alright, and WeightyWords should be heading over toward the east side of the mountain. There's got to be something of progression hiding over here. There's so many checks available.
Absolutely. I'm actually a little bit surprised Weighty didn't do this first, because if you end up getting the hammer over here, which is absolutely in the item pool and could be our Dark World access, if you find the hammer, it would have been a little bit easier to just route in Tower of Hera at the same time. But I can absolutely see why he wanted to do the dungeon first.
Yeah, there's definitely no guarantee that you find the hammer over there.
All right, so Paradox Cave has... Oh, the best cane ever. Cane of Burna.
Now, as this is hard, but it does not grant invulnerability. It will do a circle of fighter sword damage. There are some caveats. In places where invulnerability is required, like the Spike Cave, the Dark Maze in Turtle Rock, or some other locations, it will work as normal as we find our dinner plate. All right, 3 more checks left in Paradox Cave here. 20 rupees. The cape. And the hammer.
Called it. Called it.
Well, the dark world is our oyster now, once we get back down the mountain. Cannot check the dark mountain yet, unless those mitts are hiding up there somewhere. And oh boy, if we find the mitts up here, that's almost the entire world open.
I mean, the entire world open, that's what you want to see if you're dustsen, because again, that increases your options that you have to make some low percent plays. You don't want a linear seed, but there's still lots of options right at the moment. I mean, that's our dark world access. We can kind of go everywhere. Titan's Mitts is really the only thing that is locking much of the world itself. Boots has some individual locations in the dark world and in the light world, but otherwise it's like flute, and that's it.
Yeah, the flute to get us into the mire area, as that's just not a whole lot else at the bottom of Spiral Cave. And now, WeightyWords, where are you heading next? Looks like we're going toward Hype Cave.
All right, chat, get your guesses in. What kind of hype cave are we going to see? Is it 2 of 10, 8 of 10? Is it going to be a cave of love? Is it going to be Jerry Maguire? What kind of hype cave are we going to see? Because we never know. It could be anything.
But just looking at what's available, I mean, to get true hype, it would have to be holding on to, like, boots, fire rod, bow, and flute. If it had those four, that would just be the end of everything.
Yeah, I mean, it could be interesting. I don't know if there's anything here that I want to see per se, but yeah, I'm thinking it probably isn't going to have a whole lot for us right now. Starting with the big fiver.
All right, and what else have we got in through here? We have, oops, missed the chest. 3 bombs, 5 rupees, the Arrow of Destiny, and $20. Oh boy.
Wah, 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 wah. Yeah, that was officially a 0 of 10 hype game, guys.
After the hype basement, I don't think we should get a hype cave. That would just be too much hype, and I think my brain would explode.
Okay, I can see that. We had just an absolutely loaded Kakariko, so that's perfectly fine. Meanwhile, Weighty finds the Sword of Evil's Bane just hanging out with Stumpy.
Take this sword, and I'll now become a tree. As we head in toward Cave 45, one of our mirror locked locations, what do we see? 20. As Dustin on the right is just about to get ready to get confirmation that Eastern Palace play doesn't feel good.
Well, and let's see, where could we go? I mean, we do have access to a lot of things. One play that I would like to see dustsen make, and it's a play that not a lot of runners would like to, but it's completely in logic, and it could be good for us, is a play into Swamp Palace. We have the hammer, we have the mirror, we have the hook shot. We can go ahead and clear it out, but we all know that a lot of runners just avoid Swamp Palace for whatever reason. It's a long dungeon. I would honestly like to see a Swamp Palace play here from someone.
You know, I was absolutely thinking that. As I imagine, WeightyWords is probably going to head up toward the fully completable Thieves' Town. It is the Green Pendant, but it is all dungeons. We did find out through the Tower Hero that the Green Pendant will lead us to just a little bit of money.
All right, so Weighty is going to come over here, take this other portal, and it looks like he's going to be at least taking a check into Village of Outcasts and possibly Thieves' Town. Both, of course, logical access, and the Village of Outcasts area as a whole has quite a few. It is all dungeons. You might as well do Thieves' Town while you still need to. And there's 4 treasures in Thieves' Town itself, so lots you can do. Weighty going to take a kind of old school routing.
Alright, so making our way through, what is our first check in Skullwoods? No fire rod yet, but just a burrito thus far.
Oh,
and there's the bacon sword already. Well, there's our max swords, our max mails already. And we're doing good on safety, despite our low heart count, but that's hard mode. Everything coming up pretty clutch early on in this seed.
so far, but there's still plenty of opportunities to really throw us for a loop. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you know, we're looking at what could possibly be on the pedestal because I know chat loves that pedestal hype. Here's the problem with pendants. I mean, pendant fire rod. Turtle Rock just has so many requirements associated with it. We're not looking at a whole lot left. I mean, flute is still a possibility. Our access to Misery Mire, if it's not the same as Turtle Rock, that's a possibility. Of course, the bow is a possibility because, of course, the bow could be. But we're kind of low on pedestal possibilities at this point.
It could also be the boots, right?
It could, but the boots aren't required. Might not be required. We haven't taken a dip into the desert. Plus, we don't know what's going to be happening in Ganon's Tower yet. So, possible, yes. But I don't know if it's going to be a required pedestal or not.
We'll take a moment to notice that Dustin did not check Stumpy, so he is just sitting on the Master after finding that one in Skullwoods. Aside from that sword, not a whole lot else hanging out in Skullwoods, so WeightyWords is probably heading over toward the mirror lock locations this way. As we will get our bumper ledge check, as we do have that cape.
Oh.
Oh boy.
So, cape required. Where was the cape in? It was in Kakariko, wasn't it?
No, it was in Paradox.
Right. Okay.
Both invulnerable items were in Paradox Cave. And speaking of the cape, as it is hard mode, it does use up magic twice as fast, except in those rooms where invulnerability is required. And I think Dustin's taking a death warp there.
Yep, just trying to get out of the dungeon as soon as he can. Meanwhile, Weighty is going to be checking the not the Grove Ledge, the Graveyard Ledge in the meantime. Going to see if something is going to be located here. Problem is, you don't have the boots, you don't have the Titan's mitts. You have to take kind of a long, mazy path through here, which can be a little bit annoying.
But with a little effort, makes it through. I've admittedly gotten lost in that graveyard more than I'd like to admit. Alright, we have a heart container, which WeightyWords will pick up, as we have a few less hearts to work with here in hard mode.
Absolutely. In hard mode, you know, you can have a maximum of 14 hearts. That's it. That's the most you're ever going to be working with. So combine that with the fact that magic powder will not create fairies. It will create just single hearts. And then your potions will restore maximum 7 hearts. So the more health, the better.
Absolutely there. Alright, Dustin heading up toward the bumper ledge, and we'll find his bow. Sets up the spin to take care of the murderodactyl. And looks like WeightyWords is going to go ahead and check through the rest of the Village of Outcasts locations, likely dipping into Thieves Town. Just another heart piece in the sea house, but that does put us in another heart container. So looking at what is available to us, we now have both Eastern and Pod completable, Swamp Palace, Thieves Town, So much is open to us. It really just comes down to who makes the best guess to give Dustin a chance to get back into this race. He did lose a little bit of time with an Eastern Palace, but this is Randomizer. Anything could be anywhere within logic, and there's a lot of opportunity here yet.
Absolutely, and he'll get some of this time back here in a little bit. I imagine Weighty, before too long, will be doing this pod Eastern combo. Since Dustin has already cleared out Eastern, he'll be able to do that a little bit faster than Weighty was able to do. Not going to catch him up completely compared to where Weighty is currently. But man, this is just really an interesting race. How much of the world and how many dungeons are opened up to us? But both Weighty and Dustin are running almost identical routes at this point in time. Dustin hasn't really done the south, like he hasn't done the hype cave check, which is garbage. But getting that other sword from Stumpy would really help Dustin if he ends up routing that here before too long.
Yeah, that was definitely the thing that was weighing on my mind was how long will it take Dustin to pick up that sword from Stumpy? As that could cost some time the longer that lies unchecked. It will not make a difference here on Blind, but on other bosses that's a definite boost. The largest damage increase in the game aside from arrows to silvers is from mastered to tempered. It could mean the difference between a slideshow fight and other fights on like Argus and...
What I'm most curious about right now is what's going to be on that Pyramid Fairy. Swamp Palace is our other 5/6 crystal. We've already done Tower of Hera, which was the first one. So anything that we currently need could very well be on the Pyramid.
I think that's dead now.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, game. You literally had to take the hype right out from underneath me. Thanks.
Randomizer giveth and it definitely taketh. As our mushroom turns into some bombs. As Dustin seems to be weighing his options.
Yeah, I think he's thinking, it looks like he's going for one of those low percent plays we were talking about, going over here Catfish, but we have, oh boy, French Vanilla Titansmiths in Thieves Town.
Well, well, well. With the world is almost our oyster here. We're now missing the flute and plus medallions to give us access to basically the entire map. Who's looking for a jet seed? Because we're definitely set up for one.
Yeah, I know, right? I mean, we still need Cane of Samaria, and we will eventually need Fire Rod, and of course the flute. But other than that, we're good.
And the doors are open. The completion may not be possible, but doors are definitely open to us. Let's pick up just 20 in Blind Cell. I've lost count of the items in Thieves Town immediately, so I don't remember if there is anything hiding on Blind themselves. We're just going to go over here because we found the key. We have to go check this chest.
Wow.
There's the Fire Rod! Oh, wow! We are missing a cane and coins and the flute.
Yeah, this is setting up incredibly well for WeightyWords right at the moment. At this point, what you do is you start clearing your dungeons that you can clear, opening the treasure chest as you go, because, hey, if you just happen to find the things that you're missing, then you're just making incredibly efficient use of your time. This is great news for WeightyWords, and this is horrible news for Dustin. The low percent plays he's making aren't paying off. Meanwhile, if you just kind of go about your business like Weighty is, it's apparently being very friendly for a hard mode seed.
Interesting that Dustin is choosing to head into Aga 1.
Yeah, I don't know about this. I don't know about this at all. There's no items that could possibly be in Aga. You might just think, hey, I'm in the area, might as well knock it out. But no real reason to, especially when you're still item hunting.
There's just so much. The logic choice, the choices at Dustsen are definitely setting him behind as far as the race goes, but there is a chance if one of these low percentages pays off, though with what items we have open, there really aren't any low percents left open to us, with just how many items we've found.
Yeah, Weighty doing amazing work right now, just kind of playing his game. He's letting things come to him. He's not going out of his way to check things. Just, oh, well, I'm just bopping along. And it's paying off incredibly well. This is the kind of race that a runner in Dustsen position does not want to see, because it's just paying off for him incredibly well. Weighty looks like he's going to be doing the Jeremiah chain here. Likely, probably going to be seeing Swamp Palace once he finishes all that up.
All right, so this hint tile could come in big. We'll see what happens. What happens with that? But there really isn't much else for Dustsen here, as I don't think he even checked it.
Nah, he didn't check it.
Now imagine if that's the pedestal hint that says their boots are there. Just something that could give this low percentage blaze he's been making some kind of advantage. Because right now, it's just not working out for him, but you definitely feel the difference between where these two runners are in their positions within the tournament. WeightyWords is in first place. He just plays his game. He has a very... I don't believe he can fall out of the bracket stage currently.
He would have to get swept, I think, and I don't know if logically that's a possibility. He's set up incredibly well right now. He's going to pick up the purple chest, meanwhile, and take kind of a slow walk over here to Gary, but that's fine.
And he's already checked the south walks. He's actually bending north. Where are you taking us?
I have... Wait, what? Weighty, where are...
Is he bringing the purple chest to Skull Woods? Can you park it outside of a dungeon and come back for it?
I don't know. I've never had to.
Well, let's see if that purple chest hangs out there. It's one of the more fickle followers. It won't go anywhere, but I'd be curious to see if when he comes out, if he can still see that purple chest sitting outside on the other end.
Well, and I mean, yeah, he's going to clear out Skull Woods because, hey, he's in the area. He's got Fire Rod. Why not?
Interesting you would decide to pick up the purple chest. We'll see if it stays there. This is a scenario I have not seen it. As Dustsen is having his fun with Aga 1. As we do know the Lumberjack is nothing, and you didn't check that. This is just getting it out of the way because you're here. And WeightyWords with Tempered Sword shouldn't have much problems with our friend the Moth.
I mean, he's set up incredibly well for the Moth, too. He's already got Tempered Sword. He's got tons of hearts for hard mode right now. He's even got a couple magic shots, and yeah, Mothula was no problem for Weighty. Meanwhile, Dustsen is finished up his Aga fight. It looks like he's heading over to the Palace of Darkness, which is a good check for him. He can go ahead and complete everything logically over here. We'll see what he ends up finding here and how long Weighty ends up putting off. This might be a possibility for Dustsen to get back in this.
Potentially, but I don't imagine that WeightyWords won't be too far off of being here themselves. This is just, there's so many items now available. We know that Eastern Palace is a bust, though we don't know. Can't remember if the boss. I believe the boss is holding items. There's the Book of Mudora, Literacy in Skull Woods, and now we can go into Desert, as well as route in all those tablet checks. Now we'll head back and see if that purple chest is still there. So that's another check he can now pick up on his way down to Gary and then probably Swamp Palace.
Yeah, I mean, everything's just lining up for WeightyWords right now. It's like, oh, we know exactly where he's going to go. And hey, how about you just get one extra check that you can make? And the purple chest was still there. What?
Interesting to remember for those of you wanting to get in is you can leave the purple chest outside a dungeon. That did speed up the walk a little bit.
The seed is being so nice that even the purple chest is obeying WeightyWords commands. My goodness.
So, bringing a good point in chat. He found the book right outside of there, but did not check the pedestal. I wonder if that would have maybe canceled out his chest. I'm not really sure, as we just find $5 in the lunchbox, but it is an interesting point. You were right there, you just found the book. Why not go for it?
Well, I think at this point, Weighty is just thinking, I have so many checks in front of me, why would I waste time checking the pedestal? When it could be, what? One thing? It could be the flute at this point. That's it. In terms of the important progression-based items.
All right, and then let us see what's hiding out with our friend Magina. Just a piece of heart.
The Tower of Hera Big Key needs fire. Thanks, game.
It sounds like we've already been there or anything.
Wait. Flute is in the Palace of Darkness, so... Okay.
This makes things a little interesting.
A little. I don't know if it's enough, though. I mean, that's something. It just depends on how long it takes WeightyWords to get over there, and if he wastes any time. The thing about WeightyWords routing is that the checks he's making aren't lost time. He's continuing making progress to the seed. Dustsen is making progress slowly, but they're not necessarily efficient checks with Aga and then the dip into Eastern. He's not playing poorly, just things are coming up WeightyWords right now.
So I think this is one of the first opportunities for a time loss for WeightyWords. It looks like we're setting up for a boots lock. And there's confirmation. Yep. We are boots locked. So it's a little bit of time lost. However, a piece of heart is in pod. Good information to know, I guess. Maybe.
I mean, that's good information. Weighty looks like he's going to be doing the Dark Death Mountain checks. He wants to know what our access to Turtle Rock is going to be. And he looks like he's probably also going to be doing the hook shot and then other checks on Dark Death Mountain. Solid play. I'm still super curious why, finishing up that kind of south routing. But hey, everything Weighty has done up to this point in time has been golden. I'm not going to question him.
Nice to find another key and a piece of heart in the dark room here in Palace of Darkness. 3 chests left to check in the back yet. Alright, so what's hanging out here in Super Bunny for WeightyWords? Looking at inventories, we don't know what coins we need. The Cane of Samaria is still hiding out there, and so are the boots, which we are going to need for Desert Palace. And those boots could be hiding on the pedestal, which WeightyWords did not decide to check.
Well, there's the cane.
I thought it was Undertaker. Could be wrong, though.
So here's the question. If Turtle Rock is ether, do you knock it out? Do you just take care of it right now?
Yes, 100%. If you could open it, I think you head straight in. There's just, get that out of the way. There's so many items. You're looking for just the boots now. Interesting to note that 50 minutes in, we are almost in no mode. We are just looking for the boots. And then whatever the Meyer requirement for...
Yeah. This is the easiest hard mode seed I've ever seen, and it's Quake! Okay.
All right. Now we're looking for the Quack Medallion.
this might be the motivation that we had for Weighty coming up here to Dark Death Mountain. He had logical access to Spike Cave for a very long time, actually, wanting to do both the Ether Tablet and Spike Cave, and also do all these other checks. So I'm starting to understand why Weighty may have come up here as opposed to doing more dungeon checks, just because there's so many that he can knock out right up here.
That's definitely an item dense location as 10 arrows fall from the sky. It looks like our next move should be heading in towards Spike Cave, and then I'd imagine there's a lot of dungeons in their future as Dustin is making their way back to the Helmsword King.
You see Weighty hitting those 4 cardinal direction bushes. Those bushes have a higher % chance of having a fairy in them, which is super helpful right before you're about to drain all your health here in Spike Cave.
It does have the Cane and Burna, so it should have more than enough magic to make it through to the end of this. And just a 5-er.
Question chat, what could be on the pedestal that might cause issues for both players? At this point, you know, it's the boots. That's it. And Bombos, possibly, if that's required for Misery Mire. But that's it.
Let's just... Here's what I'm thinking. We need the Bombos medallion to finish. I don't know. I had a string in my head, but it didn't pan out anymore. And there's the Helmsword King. Just the Master Sword will be a little bit slower. He hasn't been to Stumpy yet, but down he goes.
Here goes Weighty. Looks like he's going to make the Pod Eastern combo at this point in time. And there's the boots.
We gotta go fast!
Guys, that's... Okay, we're in faux mode right now.
We're in coin mode.
Coin mode.
We are just looking for coin requirements at this point. 52 minutes in, we are looking for a Quake medallion and whatever Mire is.
Yeah, and WeityWords heading right to Pod, which are the other 2 items that we know he needs. This is, I mean, great playing by WeityWords, but feels bad, man. Dustsen not playing poorly. He's making the gambles he needs to make. But, man, just everything's just lying out in front of Weighty saying, you are the winner, sir.
It's definitely, it opens up a linear, like, it's a very linear start, which opens up everything. It bends you toward the mountain to pick up your access to head over to the items that give you the rest of the access. That Death Mountain was the gate to everything. He chose to forego it, hoping for something left of center, and just did not quite pay out for him.
Yeah, about the only gamble that Weighty has made that didn't necessarily pay off is doing the Desert Palace dip, but that was a quick check. We know it's boots locked, so he's going to get the flute, and then he's going to get the boots, and he's going to be able to do Mire and Desert back-to-back once he finishes Pod Eastern back-to-back. Then he can kind of bop right on over, do Swamp Palace, and by then he's effectively in go mode. We've got to find the Quake medallion, and then whatever Misery Mire is, and we're in good shape right now for Weighty. Dustsen has got to... I really feel like he's got to go pick up his 3rd sword, because he's wasting a lot of time on some of these enemies that he could really be killing them very, very quickly if he had that sword.
And a reminder in chat that one of the swords we found was on Stumpy. Which I'd imagine is probably a check that's going to be coming up for him quick once he finishes off the Armos Knights here. Chat bringing up the point that we could see the Quake medallion in Ganon's Tower.
Yep, remember, this is all dungeons mode. So, Dustsen, to his credit, has beaten Aga 1, which Weighty has not even touched yet. So, we have 4 dungeons complete, or 5 dungeons, or 4 dungeons complete on Dustsen's side. 3 on WeightyWords side. So in a pure dungeon completion, Dustsen is in the lead, but Weighty has his loadouts so complete right now. It's hard to see. Dustsen really has to make some plays very quickly here to still be in the right position.
No, absolutely. And as our runners are running recursive checks on the other, please go ahead and give them a follow. They're putting themselves out there and putting on one heck of a race for you. The least you can do is show them a little bit of love. Pedestal is alive if the Meyer Medallion is Bombos at this point.
Dustin skipped Bonk Rocks, which is interesting. I don't think we got a hint about Bonk Rocks yet, so that's curious.
No, we haven't received anything requiring boots quite yet. But he is going into the Dark World, and he'll head over toward Thieves Town and find his Titan's mitts and probably feel a little bad. The pod does pay off a little bit, and he will be able to activate the flute here momentarily.
Yep, I mean that's a good routing decision there by Dustin, being able to activate the flute while in the Village of Outcasts, kind of just mirror over and get it done. That'll definitely help him. The problem is that Weighty, while not necessarily as efficient of that check, I mean he'll be fine. He'll head over there, and it will only be a 10 to 15 second save for Dustsen.
No, absolutely. And Maloka will finally release our swag deck. Alright, picking up the big chest item here in the Palace of Darkness, just the compass, and moving on. There's just so much of this world left open to us right now, with so many ticks open, and we're just looking for coins.
I think that's what is so interesting about this. We have a lot of the world open to us. We have all of Swamp Palace, which we're going to have to do. We have most of Desert Palace. Most of the overworld checks really have been done at this point in time. It's just dive into dungeons.
Diving dungeons, and then we're setting up for one of the medallions to be hiding on the pedestal, and the other one in Ganon's tower, which I think is the most hype situation that we could see coming through. Doesn't suit Dustsen at all. I just don't see a scenario that really pays off for Dustsen here.
That being said, it's Rando. I mean, Rando has debated every single one of us who has ever played it, to the point where, crazy things can happen. Dustin's not out of it, and he's still making checks. He's still doing things relatively efficiently. Weighty has absolutely gotten fortunate with everything being laid out in front of him, but weirder things have happened in terms of Dustin can absolutely still come back. He's just got to maintain efficiency, continuing to make checks. He can't make any more empty checks like his earlier play into Eastern. That would be devastating.
I guess so. Time saves could be just skipping overworld checks if he just decides, I'm just going to dungeons. Because we know that of all the items that he's missing, they're all hiding in a dungeon.
Except for that other sword. I really, really want him to get that other sword. He has skipped Hype Cave up to this point in time, which, as we know, is a historically bad Hype Cave.
And there's WeityWords boots. Oh, for Helmstar King and another crystal. We'll head on over to Eastern Palace and get a whole lot of nothing there. And definitely agree with that point in chat that Weighty's routing has just been in sync with what the seed is wanting him to do.
Yeah, chat pointing out, Kane was in the overworld. Cave was in Super Bunny Cave, so it's there. I mean, that is one of the overworld checks that Dustin will eventually have to do. And worth noting, you know, if you're holding off on maybe doing Turtle Rock before until you get the Cane, you may avoid going up to Death Mountain for that second Dark World check until you already have it. It being there is a little bit trolly. I mean, it's not horrible, but it's not bad.
Well, it's not the worst, but it's definitely not the best. Though with the hook shot in hand, that is an item dense location. I'm just more speaking to the point of skipping the slower overworlds like the Smith Chain or the one-off locations. So he's checked a few of those one-off locations. He's already been to the Pyramid Ledge. He's already been to Catfish. So if we were to like gamble on skipping the Smith Chain,
yeah, I mean, that would be an interesting time save at this point, although that would at least draw these runners down to the Swamp Palace area. We also haven't checked Bombo's tablet yet, which could be interesting.
and Dustin finds their fire rod in Thieves Town, another stacked location. The Thieves definitely, you really break it down, the Thieves really came in the clutch here. They had both lift upgrades, and what else did they have? The ice rod, the fire rod, just all kinds of stuff. It's a good place to be a thief in Hyrule, it would appear.
I was going to say, yeah, because between the Blind's basement and Thieves Town, they've been stacked.
And Dustin making a quick work of their blind fight, keeping it right on script. Nope, losing a little bit there, but one more swing and it's done. I always find blind to be one of the more interesting bosses. It takes 9 hits from something that does damage to him. And is rewarded with the Pendant of Courage. WeightyWords setting up for his NMG strats on the Armos Knights, making quick work, firing off those 18 arrows and putting them down.
Got the quick kill, GG WeightyWords. We'll see where he ends up going now. I gotta think he's gonna activate that flute and get the knowledge at least as to what Misery Mire is going to be. It might be Quake required. I think he would actually prefer it at this point in time if that were Quake locked at the same time, because then it locks off 2 different dungeons and you only need 1 more item.
Alright, well here's the flute, and he's going up to the mountain. I don't know, he's gonna go buy some potions first.
Oh, he's gonna do these other overworld checks, the King's Tomb and Bonk Rocks.
I have not seen either of these yet. And here we go. Dustin is heading over to Misery Mire. We find just 10 sticks as in the King's Tomb. For those asking, we did not check the Sanctuary chest because we knew it was the map. Alright, here's our coin, and I think that was Quake?
That was such a quick check. I blinked, and that was enough.
I'm going in for the restream to try to pick it up here. I saw Quake!
Well, that's important to know.
Alright, so we are in Quack mode. We need to find that Quake Medallion, and it could be hiding just about anywhere, including in Ganon's Tower. Actually, no, it can no longer be in Ganon's Tower because it's that location. So,
Yeah.
We have some dungeons to clear.
Weedy activating his flute at the same time. So yeah, at this point, he's going to do the desert, Misery. Well, he can't do Misery Mire yet, but he might do desert. And then it's Swamp Palace and Ice Palace.
Well, I guess it really comes down to where is this where is the Quake Medallion hiding that could give Dustsen the edge. We can imagine we're going to see both recursive checks, and it looks like WeightyWords is setting up for the fake powder here.
That's interesting. Dustsen opted to go ahead and just turn in the mushroom. So this is really interesting, and pulls off flawless fake powder.
All right, you've woken me from my slumber today. I shall curse thee with a shield. You can block fireballs now.
You know, as often as I've seen runners like just completely ignore a shield that they could pick up, that is a bit of a curse. It's like, you must take this and carry this now.
I mean, it is the last shield we are going to find in hard mode, as WeightyWords is going to turn in his mushroom to find some bombs. We've already finished blind, which is probably the fight where you'd like to have it the most.
So Weighty picking up, he's ditching, making sure he can refill all of his bottles, going to get that blue goo. Worth noting, again, remember that magic will only refill half your magic, and health refills will only refill up to 7 hearts. So, not a ton of good that those potions do, at least compared to what they used to be.
Still, every little bit of safety helps. Though you have to look at it, and as far as safety goes on this hard mode seed, we're well set. We've got a full row of hearts, we've got our blue mail, we've got our shield, we have our bacon sword. I mean, there isn't much else you could ask for except for a few, those last 4 hearts. It's just some cash in the miner's shed, and just the compass heading out on Landmolus. We're down to swamp and ice, as well as the Bombos tablet.
So Bombos tablet, Swamp Palace, and then Ice Palace. I think it might be another play. Having that fire rod does mean that it could be there.
I mean, looking at where they are, it definitely makes sense to start from the west and make your way to the east. Swamp being the slightly more item dense location.
And just some bombs in Checkerboard Cave there.
Alright, Dustsen is gonna go hang out with his friend the Desert Hermit to find not a whole lot. We still just need to find what is going to be the end here. Where is our Quake Medallion hiding? That's really all this comes down to, unless the absolute nail here for Dustsen would probably be that book. The Bombos tablet having the Quake Medallion at this point.
That's right. Weighty has already turned in the purple chest, so he's really got no reason to go over and check that. He might do so before Swamp Palace, but if Dustsen checks that, and it is in fact Quake, that could be the clincher. Dustsen, meanwhile... What are you doing, Dustsen?
I guess he chose to flew to the wrong location. The main thing I'm looking at is Dustsen has not finished Skull Woods, and that's where our book is hiding.
Oh, right.
Underneath the bridge by Malfula. And it looks like Dustsen is heading in towards Swamp. After he gets disappointed by Hype Cave.
I mean, yeah, this is going to be a disappointing Hype Cave.
And WeightyWords pulling off a clean Landmolus height, gets his compass and his crystal.
All right, chat. We're gonna. People are already talking about it, but let's get some more dialogue. Get your guesses in chat. Where is this Quake medallion? We think it is either in Swamp Palace, or Ice Palace, or possibly the Bombos tablet. That's really all we have left. So go ahead and get your guesses in while you still can, so that you can proudly proclaim, "I was right," later.
Now, I'll go deeper. How about 5 internet points if you can give me the exact chest?
Ooh, internet points? Those are so much better than real-life points.
I've got nothing else to offer. There's no bot for this.
Weighty looks like he's also going to be making a check over here into Swamp Palace. Dustsen is in it right now. Some cash is in plain sight. Thanks, game.
Oh boy. I saw the cash.
In the meantime, Weighty is entering. There's just a big 20 for Dustsen as we're going through Swamp Palace here. Weighty did not check that Bombos medallion. He's probably hoping, it's like, hey, I have to do Swamp Palace anyway. I'm going to knock this out. If it's not here, maybe check that before you do Ice Palace, because let's face it, I think we would all much rather go mode Ice Palace than anything. And Dustsen still working with that Master Sword while Weighty has the Tempered Sword. Now remember, this different sword upgrades was on Stumpy. Dustsen has not checked Stumpy yet, or K45. That's going to make kind of a big difference, especially when it comes to the boss fight here. Weighty is going to be able to use even poke strats if he wants to on Argus. Dustsen is going to have to use either spins or 2 swings of the Master Sword in order to get down each of the Argai for the boss. So Weighty has the potential to have a much faster Argus fight. That sword has been doing work for WeightyWords, and there's Quake.
Well, at 1 hour, 12 minutes, and 30 seconds, we are in Go mode. Oh boy.
Let's put it this way. WeightyWords will be in Go mode. Dustsen still needs to find the Cane of Samaria, which we know is up in Super Bunny Cave. So Dustsen is going to be checking all of these other chests. Weighty's good, though.
Now we are set up for just something here. And you can't help but feel just a little bit bad for Dustsen here.
There are the silvers also in Swamp Palace as well. This is a situation where I don't think Weighty will check that. He knows he's in Go mode. He doesn't have to open another single treasure chest.
Wouldn't that be? I mean, at this level of execution, I can't imagine that being the do or die. At this point, if they were neck and neck, and this was just an extra check that Dustsen made, I could see that coming in clutch. But at this point, I think it's pretty well sealed, because WeightyWords will get to skip a lot of Ice Palace, a lot of Turtle Rock. Does make that check, but it won't find the silver. So I imagine he's going to end up going silverless, but he does have the Tempered Sword. So at this level, I don't think that'll give us much trouble, as Dustsen is making his way through the end of this fight.
Yep, and here's what I was saying earlier. Dustsen fighting these Argai, 2 swings with his sword for each of the Argai. Weighty is going to have a much faster fight. Again, worth noting, we can't use the silver, so even though Dustsen found the silvers, he can only use them on Ganon. And Weighty does not using poke strats, but still a single swing is really doing work here.
I definitely like the setup afterward on the quick Argus kill with the 2 fire rod shots and the spin, which he pulls off so cleanly. And there is crystal number 6.
Yep, and Weighty in go mode. Dustsen is going back into left side swamp, which won't have anything important for him, unfortunately.
And interestingly enough, Dustsen did find our 4th sword upgrade. So he will have Tempered going forward. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be enough to help him keep up. Those asking, the Cane of Samaria that Dustsen is still lacking is in Super Bunny Cave. He's foregoing left side and just wanted to check the big key chest.
Yep, and with Weighty being able to go mode Ice Palace. Oh, okay, this is good news for Dustsen. This is good news because he's setting up to go do Death Mountain. He's going to end up finding the Cane of Samaria, so he will also be in go mode. He does not have Skull Woods done, but WeightyWords does not have Aga 1 done. So it's going to be kind of an interesting horse race at that point in time. Dustsen has the silvers. This might be a little bit closer than we originally thought.
There is a chance there. I would say that the time investment for Skullwoods and Aga 1 is probably close to the same. It's mostly just making your way through back into Skullwoods. I mean, the gauntlet for Aga 1 with these runners is just kind of nothing.
Yeah, and chat asking where did Dustsen get his sword. Argus had the 4th sword upgrade, but because this is hard mode, the maximum sword upgrade that you could possibly get is Tempered Sword, which is why Weighty does not have the Butter Sword right now.
We're at the point now where it definitely it's definitely coming down to execution.
Absolutely. So Dustsen about to find his go mode item, the Cane of Samaria. I gotta think he's going to turn around and go immediately into Turtle Rock because he has the capacity to do that. So it should be good for him.
There's no better time but the present for him, I'd imagine. I'm just glad for his sake he didn't just decide to go head straight over to ice and came up here instead. But he's going to forgo it, just deciding it's faster to not climb the mountain an extra time. Which is a point that chat brought up, which makes sense.
Well, he was already up there. I don't know. Weighty, unfortunately, is having a rough go of it, of Cold Stare, unfortunately. He did not get the spin into the corner, so those Cold Stare puffs split immediately, and he's been having a bit of a rough go of it since.
It's definitely not the best fight if you lose control. Ordered with the compass and his 7th crystal. I'd imagine in WeightyWords standpoint, he's just going to complete those dungeons from left to right, hit over to Meyer, then hit Turtle Rock, and then finally Ganon's Tower.
Well, he'll do Ganon's Tower, and then he'll mirror over after defeating Ganon's Tower, because it'll point him just right outside Aga 1. Remember, in all dungeons, you have to do Aga 1 as well, and that's something Dustsen has over Weighty at this point. Weighty will absolutely have a great route in there, and best of all, after defeating Aga 1, it'll pop you right outside where Ganon appears, with a full heart and magic refill as well, so that'll be super nice for Weighty to have right before he enters Ganon. Meanwhile, dustsen probably will finish Ganon's tower last, so he will not have a heart magic refill, and I hope that doesn't make the difference, but I've seen weirder things happen.
At this level, you don't expect it too much, especially since dustsen doesn't have to worry about doing silverless Ganon. Not quite getting that Ice Palace bomb jump there. That bomb jump is just not cooperating for him, as WeightyWords is making his way into Misery Mire.
I think he set it up properly now. Yep, there it is.
One of these days I'll figure that out.
Well, the first step is sacrificing something to the rando gods.
Good to know. Well, I've already sacrificed my sanity on numerous occasions. Is that not enough? We don't quite get the God Mire there.
Not quite. We'll see where this big key is. The further back it is, I think the better it plays for dustsen if he's trying to catch up at this point in time.
There's another small key. We're still looking for the big one.
Weightty likely going to do everything he can not to have to go all the way to the back. I'm going to be checking this torch area, and then I imagine he might be checking some of these other locations as well.
Alright, one more chest and we have... There's the big key! Alright. Let's move on.
Oh, I was going to say cleaner cold stare fight for dustsen, but he's taken a death, unfortunately. Ooh.
That's definitely a moment you were not hoping to see.
Yeah, that's a huge time loss for dustsen at the worst spot. He was having a very nice cold stare fight. Got them knocked into the corner, just, I think, 1 or 2 swings away from the death, but got sniped by one of those ice cubes, I think.
Just one of those unfortunate things of that fight. That fight would not nearly be as bad if there wasn't also ice falling from the sky. And if I had to pick a boss to die to, this is probably the one I wanted to die to least, just because of how much time it takes to get back to his room. I think part of that has to be he must feel behind, because he did have potions, but was deciding to gun it out. That's WeightyWords decides against using the spooky action glitch. Not the biggest time save, but I have to imagine he feels in a very comfortable position. Just how the seed has just shaken out his way.
Yeah, it's not every day where things are just lined out ahead of you like they were for WeightyWords. On the other hand, one of the most uncomfortable things that end up happening is when they line up for you, that means they probably line up for your opponent too. So just because you're feeling pretty good about the decisions you made, nothing was particularly low percent. Nothing made him really feel like, yes, this was the play I made that is going to win me the match.
No, absolutely. Alright, 2 arrows, and now we'll finally fire some arrows into the eyeball, and that is his final crystal.
Absolutely. So WeightyWords finishing up Vitreous, and he will be on his way up to do Turtle Rock next. Remember, this is all dungeon, so even though we have 7 crystals, we still have to complete Turtle Rock and Aga 1 at some point, in addition to Ganon's Tower.
And we'll have to imagine that he will head into Turtle Rock first, so I think we'll hold off the guessing game until after Turtle Rock. Alright, and head on up toward the potion shop to pick up some refills as Dustin will come in and try to get his revenge on those cold stairs. Eight fire rod shots to crack the shell. No magic left, but he should be fine. Gets the spin, is setting him up toward the corner. Just got away from him there. He's got one puff down, 2 puff down, and there's the final puff. Redemption for Dustsen. Its WeightyWords will make his way up towards Ganon Tower, provided the Dead Rocks and Sky Cabbages decide to get out of his way. Looking in here, Dustin still has Olive Mire, the back of Skullwoods, and Turtle Rock before him. I don't think that he does have Aga 1 over WeightyWords, but that's a lot. That's not as much time as you would think it would be. Alright, Dustin picks up his flute and likely heading over to Misery Mire. Actually, he's going to go for that refill first. Definitely go for the safety. Seems like to be the best play, and we will head on over and open up Turtle Rock. Or Dead Rock, in this case. This is still relatively close. I don't know if Ganon's Tower Big Key could come into play if it happens to be on like Tile Room and Dustsen decides to gamble it early, but that death in Ice Palace is definitely not what you needed to see from Dustin's side if you wanted to keep him in this race.
Question in chat, what is considered a tie? Usually it's within about 3 seconds of one another. And that's completing and crossing the bridge within 3 seconds. So I don't know if it's happened this tournament yet. It has happened in the past, and there have been some incredibly close races. But even a tie isn't considered much of anything in group stages. Once we get to the bracket stages, ties will have more meaning. Oh, it was changed for 2 seconds? Thank you, Drossi, reminding us of those changes. Yep.
Good to note. Today I learned if tie was even something considered possible. And there's our Bombos medallion and the small key. So for the numismatists out there, you gotta be happy. We have our full coin collection. Unfortunately not useful here, but there's still a little bit of time as one of those berries just does not get out of the way.
Weighty finds the big key, so he will be moving on. That chain chomp room can be absolutely dangerous. I mean, they just do a ton of damage to you. Only 3.5 hearts left, and no magic powder at the moment, so no easy refills here.
Would have just been a single heart, but if it goes into the access to the big key chest, there is 4 of them there to get 4 hearts, but as we're in go mode, I don't see him. Well, I guess he needs to dip in there to pick up the key.
Yep, he's doing this as a failsafe, hoping that he can skip the laser bridge. It's kind of a standard play that we have at this point in time. No guarantees yet.
As Dustin is making quick work of our Misery Mire.
Weighty does skip the big treasure chest, which can contain a small key, so it's possible he just gave up his possibility of skipping. Oh no! Lucked out!
It's definitely been working in his favor for this race. You can't deny it.
Now, this is hard mode, all dungeons, and we're only at an hour, 30 minutes right now in this seed. Weighty's going to finish easily before the 2-hour mark, which is just a blazing pace for an all dungeons hard mode seed.
It was definitely set up for that with just how many early items we got. I mean, the thieves were definitely the MVPs of this seed, as they had just almost everything we needed to complete this game. And that's a really nice cane dash from WeightyWords. Item dashing, definitely one of my favorite little Japanese glitches.
Absolutely, it's just so much fun. So WeightyWords is setting up for his Trinex fight. Ice Rod, and yeah, he's not even going to try to do it from the back. He's going to play it safe.
Does have potions, but he will have to be careful with his magic. And here comes the big head. And was that a latent hitbox on the big head that ate a fire rod shot?
Yes, it was. Which is going to force him to use a green potion. That's why you have those safeties, is just in case something weird happens like that.
Unfortunately, he's a little off-center, so I don't know if we're going to get the easy spin set up here, but... Oh, grabs it up. One more swing, and he's down. And I think it's time we play a game.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and other folks, I do not want to misgender you. There are 22 treasure chests in Ganon's Tower that could possibly contain the Ganon's Tower Big Key. We'll be watching WeightyWords as he opens the chest or makes the checks. There is that one spot where we just have to look at it. 1 through 22, get your guesses into chat. If you are a supporter of any of the Speed Gaming network of channels or have donated at least 250 bits to any of the channels, you will be entered into our leaderboard if you win. 1 through 22, Bungie to the tree. My good sir, what are you going to choose?
17.
Is there a reason for 17? Or just you like it?
Nope, 17.
Cool. I would go 9.
All right, one last second chance for that, and here we go. Number 1, small key. Number 2, small key.
Well, that's the perfect setup if you ever want to go full right side, but Weighty ends up saying, no, I'm going to go left side. I'm feeling the locations. Blue Rupee, Bob lives.
Number 3, blue rupee. Number 4, green rupee. Number 5, bombs. Number 6, 300 rupees. Number 7, small key.
Here comes Firebar Root. Oh. That's it.
You guessed number 8. You are correct. And the correct answer is 8. And the first subsupporter to guess correctly was Tebikar. Congratulations to you. We'll go ahead and get you saved up on the leaderboard. Not quite visible yet, but get a few more ends. There is still a lot of races left, so you could catch Kinghorn at 9. All right, all that's left is the Ganon's Tower Ascent. Go ahead.
Yeah, pro tip, if you really want to climb up that leaderboard, not only do you subscribe, but also watch all of the late night races. You just have to be in the neighborhood. There's not that many people playing at that point.
He's got to be one of those that's on at all hours, seeing all of the races. And WeightyWords is going to go ahead and over and check the refill room here.
Couple fairies, yeah.
Those hearts.
Fun fact, that bonk right there across into that safety room is how we can determine that logically, bonking across gaps and doing that jump was something the developers of the game originally intended to be able to do.
As the only way to reach that ledge on the bottom is to bonk off of those blocks.
Absolutely. So because of that particular location, that's why things like access to Misery Mire can be locked behind either hookshot or boots. That's why the first treasure chest in Hookshot Cave is logically could have the hookshot because you can get there from the boots.
It's one of those interesting little tricks that you don't really think about until you really have to break down this logic, and it's one of those things that can catch someone just starting in Randomizer. Thankfully, there's a nice little pro tips right on the Link to the Past Randomizer website to help you find those little easy to miss locations. And now for one of the most satisfying moments in Randomizer, that quick kill.
It is satisfying, isn't it? Being able to do these whiz robes in geometry-like fashion.
The only thing I think come close to satisfaction is the hammer dashing through the pegs.
This is a true story.
And Dustin will have to be careful here, as he's down to a half a heart, and those chain jumps are mean.
And he says, I need at least one of these hearts that's up here. Heads up knowing that a heart is located there. Not great, but will work. Meanwhile, Weighty working his way.
Sorry. I just wanted to bring up the interesting point is that location in Turtle Rock is one of the more reliable places to set up getting multiple hearts via the hook shot.
All right.
And down goes Moldorm 2. I blinked, I think I missed it. And his last possessions is the bug net.
That is the most valuable thing I have ever seen in Moldorm 2's chest.
Now, could you imagine if this was a swordless seed and you found that there? How good you would feel?
I think I'd be more panicking that I hadn't found it yet if this is a swordless seed.
Alright, it is time for our required geometry test. Just one on the first cycle. And there's a double, maybe a single, depending on how the iframe shook out. There's a double. We could be needing either one or two. And he did get a double there, so that's the end of Aga 1, and Dustin appears to have taken a death.
That is unfortunate. Meanwhile...
Alright, and to recap, WeightyWords will have to bonk over the ledge and mirror to get into Aga 1. He still needs to complete our first game with the Sorcerer.
That's right. So Dustin will have to complete Turtle Rock and then Ganon's Tower, and then he's free. Weighty will have to do Aga 1. He will get that health refill, which will be super nice. But at this point, Weighty's has a nice little edge here. He just has to not mess up Geometry Mage version 1.0.
Yeah, he's definitely set up to succeed here. With those extra hearts, now note, he will have to do the Silverless fight as he skipped them in the waterlogged chests in Swamp Palace. So with that refill, that'll feel good. With a full bevy of hearts and his blue mail tempered sword, he shouldn't have too much trouble with Silverless Ganon.
Oh, absolutely not. More than that, WeightyWords has been around the community long enough. He's definitely not nervous about doing a silverless Ganon, particularly with the Tempered Sword. Master Sword silverless can be a little bit nerve-wracking. Tempered Sword, nah, he's got this.
Absolutely. Well, picking up that Tempered Sword does cut the required amount of spins in half, which is huge.
Beyond that, you can actually just slash Ganon in the first few phases as opposed to being required to spin hit him.
Though, knowing what we know about the Master Sword's properties, is it really the Sword of Evil's Bane, or is it just the start of it?
It's the Sword of Evil's Bane that wasn't taken care of properly, because it sat in a forest for millennia. Swords don't maintain sharpness.
I suppose you're right. I had not thought of it that way. And Dustin takes down Trineximal, heading on over to Ganon's tower. For his pace, we hope he heads straight to the left, though I doubt he will. He'll probably start right side. One can hope that he starts right and heads left and doesn't decide to full right. That would set him even further behind here.
All right. Weighty on part 1.
I'm guessing 3 blue balls.
Well, Dustin, we've already seen the fight from Dustin. So
I forgot about that. I wasn't paying attention, though. So
I'll be honest, neither was I.
Maybe somebody in chat remembers. Oh, there's 2! As WeightyWords keeps along with the beat for us, which I appreciate. WeightyWords definitely has the rhythm here. No, Dustin, it's the wrong way.
No, you know what? He got baited into that. You see 2 keys on the right side. It's not difficult to think that. It really isn't.
No one cannot blame him for making this play at all. It's just gambles that have not paid off has been the story of this seed.
Yeah, and it's the gambles that we knew Dustin had to make, simply because WeightyWords, first of all, has incredible execution, but he made a ton of gambles thinking low percent plays to win. He was set up to do it. The problem was the seed just wasn't gonna have it.
And now we've got some bug facts from the Big Pig himself. On into phase 2, no problem. Should find himself in phase 3 after these swings. Just has to dodge a few fire bats. Now, if only the Big Pig stops teleporting, we can finish this off.
Not a ton of teleports so far. This has been kind of a nice phase 3.
Did you find the arrows in Swamp Palace? No. No, we did not. And he's heading on over to set up his torch glitch. Does get so, and that is pretty big when it comes to doing a silverless. 2 spins.
Yep, and he's trying to set it up to where he can get... usually you time it out. You can guarantee about 2 spins per torch refill. You try to do 3, but sometimes it just does not work with how Ganon is teleporting around and where he might be. But yeah, Weighty's textbook fight right now.
No, absolutely setting himself up to do well. And here is Dustin going to find his Ganon's Tower big key. And down goes the Big Pig. Get your GGs in chat. WeightyWords. Yeah, taking down the pig needs to cross the finish line.
Most dangerous 1x3 bridge in the entire game.
And as the fanfare finishes and we cross the finish line, I can let you know that WeightyWords has finished this race in first place with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 44 minutes, and 41 seconds. GG.
We'll see if we can't get WeightyWords in here for a quick interview. Meanwhile, Dustin is just starting on his gauntlet. This is the last dungeon he has to complete.
Well, as we wait for them to get in now, what are your thoughts at the end of that seed, Vitasia?
Well, initially, my thoughts are sub 145 for an all dungeons hard mode seed is all sorts of impressive. Even with the way that everything kind of lined itself up for WeightyWords, it's super, super impressive to still see an all dungeons hard mode run and you're at under 1 hour and 45 minutes. That's just, it speaks to WeightyWords' abilities in this randomizer and in speedrunning in general. He read the seed, he did everything he was supposed to. The seed absolutely rewarded him for his decisions. But even then, you have to be good at this game to get that time, even with the way everything laid out in front of him. So he earned that time, and that's a great all dungeons hard mode time there.
It definitely feels good to have that level of execution. And we are now joined by WeightyWords in the chat. GG's to you.
Thank you.
All right, so I guess my first question will be, how do you feel about those thieves?
This seed is the exact reason why I sometimes like all dungeons better, because if it weren't all dungeons, I would have not wanted to go to the back of Pendant Thief.
That definitely makes sense, but just like, even in the light world, the thieves just seem to have everything.
Oh, that's true. The Blind's Hideout also had like a bunch of stuff, I remember, yeah. But yeah, I even got the hint that the green pendant was worthless, so there was even less of an incentive to go back. I mean, all dungeons, just clear it, and having both the mitts and the fire rod. I'm a little sad that I didn't go there before Skullwoods and I had a double dip skull, but I was happy to find both of those things.
Well, I mean, you didn't have to double dip much. I mean, you had to double dip Desert Palace, and then that, but things just kind of lined up exactly where you were for this.
Yeah, I could have dove into Swamp like right when I got Dark World access, but like Fighter Sword, no boots, Swamp Palace did not sound like a fun time. Plus, I was hoping to find hints that left side was useless, so I like put that off for a while, and putting that off definitely worked out for me because of the fact that, there was nothing in there that I needed other than Quake, which was laying in the second chest, so I could go mode the rest of the seed.
No, it's definitely, I will admit, it was impressive to pull a sub 145 in an all dungeons hard mode seed, but that definitely has to point to just how much of the world was open to you almost instantly, and a lot of it you just got to go mode because of the places you decided to go first.
Yeah, I go moded like 4 dungeons or so, something like that, so that felt really nice to do in an all dungeon seed for sure.
Alright, so looking in, that does put you up to 12-1, 2 races left. How do you feel about keeping a hold of first place over Korek?
I'm not too worried about it or anything. If Korek gets first place, then that'd be great for him. Because I'm pretty sure like everybody that's gonna make brackets are gonna be like really, really tough. So I'm not too worried about if I placements drop a little. It's just it's a big relief that I've already made brackets, so that's a huge weight off my chest. So.
Yeah, this definitely clinches it out for you. So I guess, looking back, how do you feel about how you performed in this tournament as you have now sealed yourself into the bracket stage?
I'm actually very surprised to be in this situation. I went into the qualifiers, just like all I wanted was to make brackets just the group stages, because that's where you get to play all the fun modes and you get to play guaranteed 15 games. So that's what I wanted, but to be in this situation, I'm pretty surprised, because I was pretty low in the qualifier rankings. I was, I think, 64th or something like that. So I wasn't really expecting to be in this situation, but I'm really happy for how things have turned out.
Meanwhile, Dustsen finishes off AGA 2. He did AGA 1 early, so he's going to be able to go right into Ganon now with the silvers. This should be a relatively quick fight here for Dustsen.
So looking toward the end of the bracket stage, is there anyone you're looking to avoid or want to face in your first round?
I mean, I would normally just say everybody, because everybody at that point is really good, but I mean, specifically, I don't want to face Willard, just because he's been pulling some hard mode swordless on everybody, and that would not be a fun time.
And then the bracket stage does open up expert mode. Is that something you would choose yourself?
I've considered it. I absolutely hate Master Sword Ganon, but I'm sure everybody else does, so I have considered it. I just haven't actually run any before, so I might like try a couple seeds out and see how I feel about it, if I feel comfortable even picking that. But I don't know. It would depend on my opponent, really.
Do you have a strategy as you're going into bracket stages, what you want to do? Is there something that you would, you're like, no, I'm absolutely going to do this every time I get the chance, you know, like throw some retro mode at people?
Oh, I'm definitely banning retro mode if I can, because I do not enjoy playing it at all. But, I mean, yeah, I don't really know. I would pretty much have to look at my opponent. Key sanity is a pretty big one for me because I really enjoy that. And I know a lot of people dislike doing sanity, but yeah, we'll just have to see who I face.
All right, and as the big pig explodes for Dustin, he just has to wait for the bridge to descend. Get your GZs in chat for them. They put on one heck of a race. As I can now say, he finished in second place with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 51 minutes, and 59 seconds. Still an amazing time for a hard mode all dungeon seed. GG. And as we wait for Dustin to get through here, any final thoughts on that seed?
Yeah, it was a really nice seed for, you know, hard mode all dungeons. I messed up a bit of the boss execution kind of when I was in go mode, but I mean, routing wise, I can't complain. It worked out really well. Collection time under 150 for an all dungeons is pretty insane, so pretty happy about how the seed went.
That's awesome, and we should be joined by Dustin shortly. In fact, there they are. GG's to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, GG's, Dustin.
All right, so what are your thoughts on that seed, Dustin?
That was pretty kind. Good start.
I guess the main question is, what do you think of the thieves in this high roll?
Yeah, they get out a bunch of good stuff.
I was going to ask you, Dustin, you made kind of an early play into do AGA 1. I know a lot of runners, they try to avoid AGA 1 if they can to try to route it in after doing AGA 2. Was there a reason you did AGA 1 early?
At the time it felt pretty good. Later on I thought it was a mistake too, at the time. It was, for me, one of the 3 mistakes in terms of routing I did. No, one of the 2 mistakes in terms of routing I did.
I guess I'll bend back to where I imagine you're feeling your first mistake was the Eastern Palace play one of those I need to make a low percent play to get ahead in this tournament type of decision?
No, it was actually the decision after I found the bow that I did not go into Thieves Town, grab the green pendant along, and then go to Eastern Palace and Port. So,
interesting.
Yeah, that was kind of a mistake. I mean, it didn't lead to anything, but in terms of routing, it's better to grab the green pendant and instead of going later back for just one item. You try to avoid the item later.
I can see that. I mean, we did get a hint at some point in time that told us the green pendant was effectively worthless. So I think that's why we saw WeightyWords didn't necessarily do that. But this whole seed, though, was incredibly friendly. I mean, it gave you everything you needed, just kind of right along the way. I mean, the fact that we were talking what items we needed left for go mode at around the 1 hour mark was just kind of nuts for an all dungeon seed.
And to have it really just come to the last item being the Quake Medallion hiding in the Swamp Palace. Another thing of Swamp Palace being another potential keystone, as you found the silvers in the waterlogged chest where WeightyWords did not. I guess harkening back to the main question is Ice Palace. It wasn't the kindest to you, it would appear.
No, that was the only mistake I did playing wise, I would say, dying there. But yeah, I don't know why I did get hit there. I killed one of the eyes, and I should have killed all three. They were one slash away from dying, so.
I was definitely watching it and was a little confused about how that really shook out.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, in terms of the strat I used without dashing, it was actually perfect. Well, it did go well until I did only hit one of the eyes, and I should have hit 3. So yeah. I mean, if I don't die there, yeah, that would have made the race a little bit closer, but it wouldn't have led me to win the race. So.
No, absolutely. And looking at the challenge page, this moves you to 6 and 6. I believe that moves you out of bracket contention. But how do you feel about how you performed in the tournament overall?
Not really good. I had a really bad tournament. I won one game, and 2 of my opponents forfeited the whole tournament. So that's why I changed 5 wins. Yeah.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah. And that puts me just. I have only 2 games left to do, and I'm thinking about forfeiting it, since it's clear who advances in our group, since Kakariko and WeightyWords are, I think, 11. No, WeightyWords is now 12, leading with 12 wins, and Kakariko has 11 wins. So they both will advance to the next round. So
I think Lunchtime still has a chance, actually.
Well, if Kakariko's at 11, the most wins that Lunchtime can have is 10, and that's not enough. So with this, so this is the group M is decided. All that's left is deciding who wins first place.
Right.
All right, so as we move toward the end of the stream there, any final thoughts there, Dustsen, on this seed or the tournament itself?
GG's to WeightyWords again. Then thank you very much for restreaming a lot of my games that I actually played. And yeah, I don't have much complaints about the tournament, except we have to play. I had to play sometimes Key Sanity, and I dislike it. Yeah, everything else was pretty much fine.
All right, now I want to thank you both for joining us. That was a great seed. GG's to you both. You can go ahead and take off. Any final thoughts before we sign off the air, Vitasia?
The only final thoughts for me is a reminder for everyone to follow these 2 runners, WeightyWords and dustsen, doing great work for us, fighting for our amusement here. Following them on Twitch is the easiest way to give them support. Also, a big shout out to our tracker, Mind of Me, doing all the work behind the scenes, making us look good. And, thank you, Bungie to the Tree. Thank you so much for coming with me. I hadn't worked with you before, so it's always great to get to work with a new voice here.
Absolutely, and I appreciate the opportunity that the tournament organizers has given us as commentators and trackers to help bring this to you. Looking ahead at the speedgaming.org/schedule, you'll see that on Speed Gaming 4 right now, there is another race happening right now between In the Name of TB and Rywek. And then there's lot of fun action coming up. Staying on this channel later on today, you will see ALG Andy and Killer App, as well as Jet and JP. There's also a lot of other action out there. We're still during the SNES Superstars. Another Donkey Kong Country race has just started. There is a Link to the Past randomizer on that. Some ActRaiser, more Donkey Kong Country, lots of Donkey Kong Country out there today, and a little bit of Evermore if you're into the late night. So with that said, I am Bungie to the Tree. This has been the Link to the Past randomizer fall tournament. Thank you so much. Good day and good rando.